Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We have Wyatt Stamatopoulos. Did I say that right?
You nailed it.
Okay. That's the hardest one I've had.
Yay. Okay.
Thank you for coming in, though, dude. So, just for everybody watching, Wyatt has been crushing it with final expense. He's done over 100K year to date.
Yep.
And you said you just figured some stuff out?
Yeah, some stuff clicked. Like, I don't think we give enough credit to how long things take sometimes.
To click.
Yeah.
That's huge. We're going to talk about that. But you also have a really interesting story, which if we can start off, if you can kind of tell us, because you said before we got here, there was a good chance you wouldn't even be here, as in like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm blessed, man. And like, you look back on life, and I think for me, you realize God really was with you, with all of us, whether we know it or not. And like, I'm the typical son of an alcoholic, right? I come from an alcoholic household. My dad's a cop, SWAT guy. My mom was a dynamic saleswoman. And so coming from that sort of household, a lot of dysfunction, violence, restraining orders, moving every year. My parents worked really hard though, loved us, but like a typical son of an alcoholic, like I've always had something to prove, always had a chip on my shoulder, always went and looked for negative ways to heal stuff going on inside me. Athletics in high school I think athletics in high school saved my life, honestly.
Wow.
Yeah, it introduced me to a lot of families and I had a lot of good friends that came from great families, 2-parent households. And so I was exposed to all that. Like, they took me in and wrapped their arms around me. And so I saw what it could look like. And coaches and the mentorship, it kept me on the straight and narrow, right? Like, I'd go to school, do practice. And like, the secret was I was coming home to a house with empty pizza boxes on the floor, empty Jack Daniels bottles laying around, right? Like, God bless her, bipolar mother, like all this craziness and dysfunction behind the scenes, right? I put on this front, I'm this star athlete, whatever. But at home, it was a different story. And the big turning point for me was when sports ended. And I was friends with everybody, and I got introduced to heroin. And it was like a 6-7 year journey of just stepping into heroin addiction deeper and deeper. I went through 8 different treatment and rehab programs, homeless after a certain point in time.
You were homeless.
Yeah. Yeah, I slept out in front of a Safeway one night.
But like, how homeless? Like every night homeless?
Yeah, for about 4 months, I was sleeping. My mom got pancreatitis and almost died. All I remember is one day, dude, the hospital hauled her off, right? And my brother and I were just kind of home alone. And then we come home one day, and I'll never forget it, there's this big red sticker on the door from the Pima County Sheriff. You have 3 days to evict. And
how old were you?
18.
Okay.
Yep. And so my grandmother came down, got a 100 square foot storage unit. We packed as much stuff in it as we could and left the rest. And I moved in with an uncle, got kicked out of there. Just couch surfing, trying to sustain my addiction, stealing, squatting in places, robbing people, all these things that addicts do to fulfill their addiction. And it got to the point, dude, where nobody wanted me around, rightfully so. Like, I didn't have any more couches to stay on. I didn't have any more people that were going to bail me out. And that's when I started sleeping in the storage unit. I would literally go to the storage unit late at night because it was cool, finally. I'd sleep in there. I folded up this mattress topper and slept in like a 3-foot wide little section. I'd wake up in the morning. I'd walk down to either the Pima County Public Library or Starbucks. I had a broken iPad, and I could get free Wi-Fi at the library or the Starbucks. And, dude, I even broke into homes of family friends and slept in their houses.
So when you were homeless, were you thinking like, I gotta figure this out?
Here's the crazy.
What were you thinking?
Here's the craziest part, dude. Everybody stopped believing in me, right? I was the only person that didn't. Like, I never lost belief, and you could say that at that time, it was a very irrational sense of self-belief. I just always had this feeling that I was gonna figure it out. I was gonna fucking figure it out. Like, I was gonna be the success story that I admired so much, right, in other people, and I had no evidence to why that was gonna happen. I just always had this level of belief that I was going to make it. But every day for a long time was, "Well, I'll do it tomorrow." Right? Like, I'll go to a meeting tomorrow, I'll get right tomorrow. Like, tomorrow never came for years and years and years. And so, if you're asking me, like, what does it take for an alcoholic or a drug addict to get clean? I think it's nothing more than, like, enough suffering. Like, that's the answer, dude. I can't tell you how many times I walked up to a detox center, finally had a bed available, and I'd walk away, and I'd go find more dope and just say, "I'm gonna do it tomorrow." So, for whatever reason, I never lost that sense of self-belief that I was gonna figure it out. But, like, being the kid of an alcoholic and then becoming one yourself,
Was alcohol the main thing?
no, for my family was, for me, it was drugs, heroin, meth, any drug I could get my hand on. But what runs along with that is victimhood. I was the biggest victim you'd ever meet, dude. It was everybody else's
Did
fault.
you ever feel like it was like a generational curse? Like it was just
Yeah.
like, this is what my family does and this is how I am?
I had one uncle that made it out and became really successful. One out of 7 siblings of my mother, right? My dad was adopted, I didn't know his side of the family. But it almost seemed like maybe it's just pride and ego, right? Like, for whatever reason, I believed my path was supposed to be different. No evidence for that, but I just always believed, like, that's not gonna be me.
And did you go to Alcohol Anonymous or Drugs Anonymous?
Yeah, I
Or are
bounced.
those the same thing?
They're different. The core tenet of them is a 12-step program, right? To
Mhm.
acknowledge our brokenness, get right with God, admit our faults, and go out and set to make them right as best we can. But I would go into a detox center for 4 or 5 days, start feeling better, and I'd leave. I did that like 8 different times, and I don't know what clicked, man. I really don't know. Um, but in July of 2016, I finally had enough, and for some reason, I stayed that time. And I ended up in finally a bed became available, and I ended up in a 31-day treatment center. I remember it, dude, like it was yesterday. There were like 33 men in there, and this guy came in and spoke, and he's like, "Statistically, maybe 3 of you will make it." And I'm like, "Well, that's gonna be me. That's gonna be me." And something shifted, like, I just set myself apart, started doing things other people in there weren't willing to do, and about a week in, a man came in and told his story, and he spoke like nobody else had ever spoken to me or us before. He said, "If you're not done, get the f out of here and go get done, because like, you're wasting my time, you're wasting your time. If you're not done, go get
It
done."
was like Shawn Mike
It
style.
was dude, yeah. It was like Sean, and that's the message I need, right? Like, my first year of sobriety, I was not allowed to speak in meetings. They told me, "Sit down and shut up. You don't have anything that we
Are
want."
these AA meetings?
Mhm. I was sponsored and surrounded with a bunch of old crusty bikers, dude,
That
that
sounds
weren't
kind of
impressed by
fun.
me at all. It was a blast, dude, best time of my life, you know? And so I did that 31 days, and I truly, truly gave myself over to the process, right? Not much different than insurance, but I gave myself over to the process, and I literally my only goal was to become the most coachable person in the program. I will do anything you tell me to do. And so I sat for a whole year, didn't say anything, moved into a halfway house, lived there for a year and a half, walked around, looked for a job, found a job at a pool company, cleaning pools, building koi ponds, right? I'd wake up at 5 a.m., go work 8 to 10 hours in the sun, come home, go to a meeting, and then either go get a like 10 p.m. workout or a run. I became like a samurai, dude. Like I that's how I lived for a year and a half straight. No women, nothing, dude. I just became so hyper fixated on my own growth. And I had so much self-belief and like I could feel in those moments like I'm writing my story. Like this is a story that's going to be told what I'm doing right now. It's not glamorous, nobody sees it. I didn't even have social media. Like nobody saw it, dude. But I knew I was writing my story and one day it would be told and by the motives for that are to help people. It's not like
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
You're
Like
saying, yeah, I get it. Yeah.
um And so that's a summary of where I come from, dude. Like a lot of brokenness and pain and fear. Like, dude, last thing I'll say on this, like, I don't think people understand, like, I really don't think you know fear and loneliness until you know homelessness. Like, we all take for granted, like, you don't know the feeling of, like, not having a home, like, having nowhere to go. If you could just sit and picture that for a second, it's the scariest thing you could ever go through. I did it to myself, though, you know?
How do you fall asleep? Drugs?
Yeah. Stealing alcohol, drugs, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Dude, so when I was like 20, I'm making money in insurance and the housing market's super low. So I started flipping houses that I could buy for like 80,000 and flip them for like 120 or 130. Well, what we used to have like parties every Friday night. I got my own place and there was this dude it was like the Taco Bell down the street who was homeless. And he was like, "Hey, can I have some money?" And I was like, "No, but you could come over and work." Okay. So the dude's name is Ron. He comes over and he's working like, dude, like an animal. Like he gets so much done. He's like a human tractor.
Yeah,
okay.
dude.
And then I'm like, okay, this dude is the man. Well, then we're like, oh, like now this is back in the day. We're just young and having fun.
Yeah.
Like next thing you know, dude, like my friends are coming over. He's taking a beer bong.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
Ron was a little meth monster, I bet.
Actually, I don't know if he did hardcore drugs, but so then next thing you know, he's playing ping pong with everybody. Everybody loves Ron. He's like the life of the party. Drew, did you ever meet Ron?
Yeah, dude,
he helped me
Ron's a
move.
man. Yep.
Okay, so anyways, I wake up the next morning to go throw a load of laundry in the garage, and he scares the crap out of me, dude. He's sleeping in there. Like he never left. Okay. Then,
oh my God.
And then, dude, we legit became friends.
Yeah.
And he would help me flip these houses. He would stay in the houses. Like I gave him a job, and he was awesome. And I would talk to him all the time because I was so intrigued.
Yeah.
But he like somehow overcame everything and seemed to be happy where he was.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like we got him like his driver's license back. We went to court. Wow. He came over to my family parties. He came over to Thanksgiving, freaked everybody out.
Like, what are you doing, Andrew?
No, but dude, he was the man though. Like he still calls me, dude, on my birthday. He's got my birthday like he has everybody's birthday memorized. He always gets a new phone though, and he still calls me and tells me happy birthday.
You know what's cool about that, man? Andrew, I'll never forget the way they looked at me, bro. What I mean by that is I'll never, ever forget the way when I was homeless and towards the end of my run, I'll never forget the way the Circle K clerk looked at me. The lady behind the counter here, the lady in front of Walmart I asked to use her cell phone.
Just like your filth.
The scorn, the disgust, the judgment. I'll never forget it, dude. I'll never forget the way they looked at me because that drives me today, right? Some of that can get unhealthy. Getting jacked, making money, like these things, you can channel that, right? If you take accountability for your actions and you're willing to set right those mistakes like that, that's a fuel that burns hotter than any fuel. Having enemies is jet fuel for any of us.
So you used all that pain,
you
channeled it into what we're going to talk about right now.
Still do, man. Like I still do. Like I still need enemies, bro. You know, it burns hotter than anything else. I don't forget the way they looked at me. I don't forget where I ever came from. I see my kids like, dude, waking up, going and crawling on a $5,000 sofa, like watching an 80-inch flat screen, like cuddled up. Like knowing what I went through and what I had to survive through and then thrive through, and then seeing the next generation of my bloodline not know any of that.
Yeah.
Is like
will they even know it?
They'll know I'm real transparent with everything, but they'll never know that. And I'm so, like, that makes me happier than anything, dude.
They'll never know that life.
But I can't forget where I came from. Like, I can't forget those things that stung and hurt so badly because ultimately that's the stuff that led me where I am today and then where I want to go in the future. I can't get so good, right? Like, I
Yeah.
still have to suffer a little bit every day to
How
remind
many
myself.
kids?
2,
How old?
3, and 5.
Dude, that's the same as me.
Yep, boy and a girl.
Ace, my daughter's turning 3 in a few days, and my son is turning 5 next month.
Dude, ours, 5 in June, 3 in September. Yeah,
Yeah.
so she's 2.5.
Yeah.
But, like, I've seen you with your kids, right? And, like, I respect that in a man more than anything else, dude. Like, the way I see him with his woman and his kids.
Last night, our kids are just so, I mean, kids are so precious, right? Like, they just say the craziest stuff.
Yeah.
Like, my son was like, Dad, I remember this movie. And I was like, how do you remember it? And he's like, because this guy in here tells me. And he goes, you can't see him. And he doesn't have a nose or a mouth, but he'll tell me about stuff. And I'm like, dude, he's talking about like inner dialogue.
I love
you know?
it. So pure, dude.
Yeah.
They like don't have an ego yet, you know?
Yeah, it's the best. But last night my wife was like, isn't it crazy that some people grow up without their, like, they live their life without their kids? And I'm like, dude,
I don't get it.
Yeah. And then your wife,
Mhm.
you've spoken real highly of her.
Yeah, like I was telling you, I'm maybe the face of it or get recognition here or there. Or, dude, she's like the backbone behind everything.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it feels like to come home after working 14 hours and have her give me shit for it. I don't know what it feels like to call her and be like, babe, I have to stay or I have to do this, and her be rude about it. Like, that woman is special, dude. And that's why I strive to give her everything. Like, my wife doesn't work, right? She raises our children, takes care of our home, and now is transitioning into helping me with the business a lot more because the kids are at school. But, like, when I met her, that's what she wanted, right? That was her dream ideal. Like, I don't want to work. Like, I don't want to show up to some job for some guy I don't even like and some job I don't like. And so God truly put us together.
How'd you meet?
Coffee shop.
At a coffee shop.
Yeah.
You just rolled up to her and said, can I have your number?
I said, can I buy you coffee? Yeah.
That's old school.
Old school.
How many
dude.
people nowadays do you think meet like that?
None, dude.
None.
Like, I'll see a cute girl in public and be like, hi, just like friendly. They're like, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't DM you, so you can't say hi. I don't know, man. But she's an old soul, right? When I met Alexandra, like, she wasn't into partying. And I told her, I'm like, it's no judgment, but like, I'm not gonna be with a woman that wants to go out and party. Right? That's not what I do. This is what I want and what I'm doing in life. And it's exactly what she wanted. So she's everything, dude. Like, she should get all the credit. Without her, I don't think I'd be here. The level of belief, I talk about self-belief that I've had. Well, dude, like, when you're in the field, your first 90 days in this business, you lose that pretty quick, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You set 10 appointments, 7 of them no-show. You know what I'm like? You feel about this big.
Yeah.
And so to come home and have somebody be like, you're the man. You're going to figure it out. Like, why are you doubting your like,
dude.
why are you doubting? Like, okay, go get him. Like, yeah, man. She
powerful.
It's everything.
It's funny. So there's some agents that, and I'm like you, like, I'm lucky to have Nicole, who's always been like, go take over the world.
Yep.
You could be gone for a week. I'll take care of everything at home.
Yep.
And let me go build something. But it's funny because a lot of agents, sometimes you almost feel like a therapist because they'll be like, hey, my wife is mad because I'm not making sales and she wants me to go get a job. Right. And this is like the first weekend, but they just don't believe it's going to work. And I'm like, dude, all right, this is my advice. I want to know what your advice would be because you probably hear it too. But my advice is, dude, go get paid. Like, you could work Hawaii leads at 9 p.m. at night.
Mm-hmm.
You could work Michigan at 6 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
You could work Dallas. Glue the phone to your ear. Go get paid. And then next thing you know, they're going to be like, oh, this works.
Yes.
But what's your advice on that?
Well, bro, she doesn't believe because you don't believe. That's
Damn.
it. Like, how do you expect her to believe, dude? You don't even believe this is going to work.
Yeah.
Right? And like in a biblical marriage, in my opinion, right? Like, a woman submits to her man. And everybody gets offended with that word. I don't give a shit. But like, the real meaning of it. Submission is earned, right? So like I have given my wife so much evidence through the years that I'm gonna show up. Right? Like if I say like I'm packing our family up, we're hitting the Oregon Trail and like, like back in the day, how families used to migrate out west, like there was a sick level of belief in that man or that head of the family. And it's the same thing today, but like there has been so much evidence that I've had to provide my wife of like, if I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. Like I will show up every day. And over time, her buy-in starts to increase and increase. And now it's to the point where even on the days I don't believe, she still
She
does.
believes, yeah.
Yeah. So I would tell that new agent, like, dude, you want her to be sold, you better get sold, number one. And my judge of work is always this, bro. I need to be able to go home every day and look my family in the eye and say I did the best I could. That sounds cliche, but a lot of these guys that would have that scenario, they're not working as hard as they could, dude. Like, they're not absolutely just dogging it out as hard as they could. Because if they did, their wife would see it in their eyes, man.
Yeah.
And then the results would come.
Now, on the flip side, you have people who they start to really get some traction, and then everybody starts to go, dude, you're working too much. You need work-life balance. Slow down.
Yeah, no.
What's your advice there?
I don't believe in it, man. I don't think balance is a real thing. I guess it depends what kind of life you want and what kind of man you are, I guess. But like the really high achieving men I would admire, or women, they don't have balance in their life. Now, okay, my life is family, faith, fitness, and life insurance. That's it, dude. Like those are the only 4 things I do. Like, what's your hobby? Why? I don't know. Like I like to lift weights and work, like, and my kids,
Yeah.
If you asked what I did for fun, I'd be like, play with my kids.
Yeah.
And so, no, like, I think a woman respects a man that's obsessed too.
Yeah.
Like, Alex has never told me to be balanced. Now, she has had to pull me away from work. Sometimes I take it a little too far,
Yeah, and be like, yo,
like, come home.
Yeah.
Like, it's 7.
Be present.
Yeah, like, it's 7:30. Like, come home. Like, babe, put the phone down. Like, little stuff like that. But if we're really on our mission and doing what we believe we're supposed to be doing, like, people around us buy in.
Yeah.
And that's that.
That's awesome. All right, I want to go back to addiction.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people there's all kinds of different addictions or things that people struggle with. And the reason I say that is because we did a conference call with Steven.
Yeah.
Actually, and we said, how many people on this call are dealing with something that you're not telling everybody, that nobody knows about, but you're dealing with some type of problem in your life? Put a emoji in the chat. And there was like 29 people on the call, small call, 29 emojis.
Absolutely.
Okay? So I want to go back to this. And then I got to talk, Eric Thomas spoke at the conference. Well, I talked to him for a little bit, and he made a comment. He goes, sounds like you've been pretty successful. You figured this thing out. And I was like, yeah, but now I'm trying to figure out how to not mess it up. Okay.
Wow.
And he goes, well, what's funny is getting there is easier than staying there. And he goes, so what I do in my work is I try to figure out what's things people are struggling with. And if we can fix them, then it's in business. It's kind of like if you had a athlete, they're playing with a torn ACL. We try to fix the ACL, so they're operating at 100%. And he was like, he said he had a customer who had more money than anybody, a beautiful family, had some addiction issue, lost his family, lost his money, ended up on his parents' couch again. And he was like, so he was explaining all these things to me, which I thought was awesome. But the reason I want to go back to this is the addiction thing. Did you go to AA? Do you go to AA? And if you did, what was that like?
Yes. Yeah, still do. Changed my life, okay? Because here's the thing, dude. It's just like insurance. I didn't want somebody to tell me how to get sober. I wanted somebody to show me how to get sober. Okay, and what that means is like I need a solution. Right? Like I don't want a bunch of opinion from a bunch of doctors who have never been addicts themselves. I need somebody who's been in it, has found a solution, made their way out, and then can give me a clear A to Z recipe on how to do it. And so there's a lot of literature that's been written that was monumental, and then a simple, it doesn't matter, AANA, the 12-step program, right? Like there is a simple framework that you need to follow to be successful in your sobriety or your clean time. And it's no different than insurance. The biggest thing for me, Andrew, is honesty with other men in my life. And it's not 10 people, it's more like 2 or 1. But for me, man, to stay right-sized and make sure I'm not the dude that ends up on some couch somewhere, like I have to have another man in my life I can be completely honest with and constantly take an inventory of where I'm at. It's a must.
Yeah, that's good. So I go to the gym a lot in the morning. I usually meet Ben Smith at the gym. Do you know him?
Yes, I do.
So he always talks to me about AA, and I'm like, dude, this sounds like stuff that I want to know about, because he's telling me some of these principles in the big book that you live by and you reinforce and all these things you do. And I'm like, dude, I might read that book even though I don't have an alcohol problem, but I might actually read that book anyways.
Dude, it's like, and you can diagnose it simply, right? The issue, like, okay, if you're sick, the sickness, the illness is not the cough, right? It's the flu or strep throat might be it. A symptom of strep throat is a sore throat. Okay, drugs and alcohol are a symptom of the greater illness. They're not the illness. They're just an outgrowth of that.
Mm-hmm.
So what that tells me is like, if you take drugs and alcohol, like you may know people where they are really bad and they stop drinking and using, and they're more miserable than they were when they were using. The reason for that is the root of our troubles as alcoholics or addicts is selfishness, straight up selfishness. Everything is about us. Outgrowths of that are fear, self-seeking, all these things, all this wreckage we cause in our lives and the lives of the people we usually love most is really just out of our pure selfishness, dude. And I think alcoholic, non-alcoholic, would you agree that that's probably the root of most people's issues?
So you're saying fear is selfishness?
Yep. Fear is an outgrowth of selfishness, right? Because I'm small, like I'm really small in the grand scheme of things. If it's all about me and I'm trying to control everything and I know that I'm inadequate and I can't possibly control every outcome, fear creeps into the picture, right? When I'm in congruence with God and a healthy, loving relationship with my Creator, fear suddenly goes away. It's like the fear and faith scale. A lot of fear, not a lot of God, and it goes like that. So yeah, I think fear, the root of that is just self. Just thinking about myself way too damn much. And all these things I can and can't control. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Awesome, dude. Well, I'm thank you for sharing that, because
of course
I think a lot of people would be hesitant on sharing that, but I think this could help. Who knows how many people this could help.
It's funny, dude. It's like, it's not who I am, right? Like I'm a lot more than that story, but it's a massive part of who I am. I am the man I am today because of it. Why would I be ashamed to share that? And anybody that would judge me for that, like anybody out there that's suffering with drugs and alcohol, or they are sober and they're hesitant to share it, I could tell you right now, if you share that story from your heart and you get judgment, thank God, because that just revealed to you the people you probably don't want in your life anyway.
That's good.
You know?
That's huge.
Yep.
All right, so let's get into some insurance stuff.
Yeah.
Talk to us. How long have you been selling insurance? How long did it take you to figure it out?
Yep.
And what's it been like?
I came from corporate America, car dealerships. I was a parts manager, fixed operations. Started as a car washer when I got sober. Wanted to leave corporate America, be self-employed, right? Like chase the American dream. And I started in insurance 2.5 years ago. I recruited myself. Sean might love that, dude, because I was sitting in my office one day and I heard him on a podcast with Bradley. Oh, swear to God.
Really?
I'm sitting at my desk.
That's how you found insurance?
Yes. Dude, I had prayed about it. I'm like, this isn't the path for me, man. Like, is it real estate? Okay, I know I have to sell something. Like, for somebody like me, freedom in America comes through the art of persuasion and learning how to sell something and then leveraging that skill. Mm-hmm. So I know I need to sell. Is it real estate? What is it? And I'm like, I prayed about it and I asked for answers, and I'm literally sitting there going over P&Ls in the dealership. And Bradley and Sean Mike, this crazy bald dude, starts talking about insurance, man. And there was something about him that like reminded me of my sponsors, my family. I don't know. There was something about Sean that I really was drawn to. And it was at that moment I started investigating it. And I found Will Lohr had an office literally 3 minutes from the dealership. And like the next day, I walked into his office.
How'd you find his office?
The website. I like Googled FFL. And you know, on the main website, there's a map of every office in America. And I walked in, and the rest is history. So I recruited myself 2.5 years ago. Became really close with Will and Steve and you, and like surrounded myself with people that are so much better than I am. And it probably took, dude, I'll say this, like I think I did 20,000 submit numbers like month 2 or month 3. But I'll be honest, man, when I really started like feeling good, like I had security in this business and I know I could create predictable outcomes, it probably took a year, honestly. Like I was making enough to pay my bills, buy leads, take care of my family. My wife hasn't worked. Things were good. But like I'm talking about, I deposited this, I bought leads, I saved some, I put some money so we could go on vacation. Like I had freedom. It took about a year to attain that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Yu calls that getting the monkey off your back. He says
I love it.
He says there's a day where all of a sudden it all clicks and the monkey's off your back. But I remember, dude, it took me probably a year because I was just scared. Like, this isn't going to work. Am I going to make it for like a year?
I relate to that. Yeah. There was always that little seed of doubt. Now, the crazy thing is, dude, like I didn't have a plan B though either.
Yeah.
I like left this salaried career. I was like, I'm going to sell a lot of insurance.
Were you pretty good at the car dealership? Were you making good money?
Yeah. Dude, they offered me $200,000 to stay. Started paying me $200,000 for a couple months.
Now, were you with your wife then?
Yes. Dude, she was due with our second daughter, Hazel, in 6 months. And we were set to be married in like 3. You know what I mean? I went to her and I'm like, babe, I found this insurance thing. Like I've told you since the day I met you, I'm going to create a family business and we're not going to work for people. And this is it. She's like, you're crazy. No. You know, and like as a typical feminine woman who's concerned with her family, she's like, no, wait till the new year, wait till after. And I'm like, it's really the only thing I've ever gone against her on and said, this is what we're doing. Like, get with it and follow along.
That's crazy. But it made you perform. Now, did 100%. you regret that in the beginning? Were you like, shit, what'd I do?
No. Well, okay, I had certain moments of it. Like, dude, I remember going out, getting no-showed and all this stuff and coming home and putting my head against the wall. Like, the first month or so, you know, I'd go out, set appointments, I'd get no-showed. I'd have like 4 hours to my next appointment. So I'd say, okay, well, I'm going to go home and eat lunch and I'll dial and da-da-da. And the worst mistake ever, don't do that. If you're still in the field by chance and you're new to this, don't go home. Leave your house at whatever, 8 o'clock and don't come home till 8 o'clock. And I would go home and put my head against the wall and like question everything. But dude, I guess like the one thing I could say about myself is like, I can get my ass kicked and like, I will come back tomorrow for more until I figure it out. I'm like stupid like that. Smart enough to make it work and too stupid to quit, you know?
Yeah, that's how I am. I'm like, I'm just not going to quit. I might quit for a second and then I'm like, oh, I'm not quitting.
Not quitting.
As long as the next day you wake up and you go back at it.
My first ever appointment was like a 260 something a month Americo. First ever appointment. First appointment no-showed. She was the second one of the day. I sat with her, Amelia. I sat with her in her trailer for an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, dude. She spent 260 something a month. I made $2,500 like that. And was like, I knew it. I knew I made the right decision. I didn't sell anything for like another week and a half, you know?
That's insane.
That's so, yeah, I think that was a total God thing, man. For her to be my first appointment.
For someone watching, what does the pay look like on that?
There was a cap right at the time. I mean, the total commission, I think, is like $2,700. They gave me 25.
And tell everybody how it works if she cancels. That way everyone kind of knows the reality of the industry.
Yeah, chargebacks are real. They're a part of business, man. In the first, oh God, I should know this. In the first 9 months or a year with Americo, if the client goes, I don't want this, I'm getting something else, whatever the case, the insurance carrier says, hey, like, we paid you for money we have yet to receive, right?
Yeah.
Client cancels, we need that money back.
And they take it out of your next commission.
Yep.
And if you don't write commission, then you owe them the money.
You owe
if
them
you
the
don't
money.
write any policies.
You know the crazy part? When you're working, like chargebacks, dude, used to affect me so much. I'd be just mentally drained from them. I'd wake up defeated, like, oh my God, I'm $1,700 in the hole. I'm working for free today. And it would dominate me. I don't even think about it anymore. And I think when you really are working and writing business, they just get ate up, right? It's like, oh, my commission should have been $4,000 statement today. It was only 3. Okay. That's part of the business. Like, you know, the millions of dollars Amazon does in returns annually, or any big company, it's a part of business. And that's how I've grown over time.
And then it's like, this whole business is a muscle. It's like, you just got to grow your sales muscle. You got to grow your rejection muscle. You got to grow your chargeback muscle. And then it just,
so true.
And then it's not a big deal.
No.
It's easy.
Yep.
But you got to go through it. So my friend just started, and I've been having him go through everything like a new agent.
Yep.
Like, dude, I'm not going to favor you because I don't want to steal you learning how to run a business. I don't want to steal that from you. Because I so bad want to be like,
of course.
Yeah, let me do it for you.
Yep.
Let me hold your hand and show you. But it's just part of, if you could just embrace all of these issues as this is part of me growing, then that's the perfect way to do it.
You make a great point. And if you can just have a little bit of long-term vision, right? It's the same thing as getting sober. Like, dude, day 1, you don't have any results, bro. Day 90, you may not have much results. It's the same thing as going to the gym. Dude, I got sober 146 pounds. I was a beanstalk. Like, dude, you may not see results for a while, but if you can carry the framework in your mind of like, this is a part of what ultimately is going to make me the man I want to become. Eating those chargebacks and the frustration and the mental part of that, if you could just have like an ounce of wisdom in that moment and say, you know what, I know I'm not going to quit. So like, I'm coming back tomorrow. Okay, like, this is going to develop me and chisel me away, and God's working on me, and I have to grow in order to go where I want to go. And if just new agents could have a little bit of wisdom, man, and not be so absorbed in the moment, I think it would help them a lot.
Yeah. Crazy, man. So you just moved to Tucson.
Yeah. Yep.
And you got a bigger house, some new upgrades as far as lifestyle goes.
Yep. You know, that's one thing Alexandra and I have done well. I have never really lived beyond my means. Right? Because, like, dude, I was telling you earlier, I have been just as happy with $150 and a 60-day sobriety chip living in a halfway house as I have been depositing 30 or 40 grand. So what does that tell me? That, like, the material things are not going to fulfill me ultimately. They're important, but they're not everything. And so when I started insurance, I had this big, beautiful SUV. I sold it, 15 grand cash, put it in my bank because I'm like, okay, I'm going to embark on this insurance journey. To have 15 grand would be really helpful. And I went and bought a $2,000 car on Facebook. I still have it today, bro. My wife has a new car that's reliable, new
That's
4Runner.
awesome.
But like, we lived in a smaller house than what we needed it for probably a year longer than we should have. I have fought the urge to buy like some sick, beautiful car because I ultimately know like what I'm going to become 20 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
And that, dude, that new car, right? Like that $100,000 car, like, dude, 2 weeks time, I'm going to be throwing empty water bottles at the floorboards, like treating it the same way I do a 98. You get what, does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so we've always just done a good job of staying humble. And so I bring up to people, when we moved to Tucson, we moved into this 3,400 square foot house that is at the top of the Catalina foothills of Tucson, overlooks the entire city. You walk in and it's cathedral ceilings, 30-foot floor-to-ceiling glass. Stunning. Like, breathtaking. And it overlooks the apartments that I at one time was squatting in and breaking into. Right? Like,
that's insane.
I mean, but we would only be in that situation and living in a home like that. Part of the story is if we were patient and humble as we grew through this. If I went and moved into some big apartment the second I deposited 10 grand, I don't think we'd be where we're at now.
Yeah. So check this out. So 11 years ago, okay, Trey Honeycutt said this business is better now than it's ever been. And let me explain to you why, okay? 11 years ago, this is how I remember Tucson. We would have to pick spots on a map to get leads and to go run. And we'd have to travel there because you couldn't do Zoom sales and you had to go face to face and there was no leads. So like I'd be like, okay, like 50 leads built up in Tucson. Let's get some leads and go. Now, right before I was getting ready to go, my stepdad dies. He's like 50. I think he was 54. It was my mom's second husband that died. So my dad died. She gets remarried. She has this awesome relationship. He has a heart attack. Like everything was fine. They're drinking coffee. He has a heart attack and dies. Okay. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to leave my mom home by herself. So I'm going to bring her with me to Tucson. So I'm like, Mom, we got an 8-hour drive. Okay. So me and my mom, 8-hour drive, get to Tucson. I have 24 appointments booked to go run the next few days. I still remember we got vodka martinis to kind of ease the pain a little bit. Hung out, talked. She spent the weekend there hanging out. And I went and ran business. Okay.
I love it.
And then I come back, spend time with my mom, go back.
Love it.
Run appointments, but this is like the crazy memory that I have, okay? So I'm running all over Tucson, and there's like a city that's right next to Mexico.
Yeah.
What?
There's Nogales?
I think so. I think so. Well, dude, so I get there and like I'm going down a dirt road. It's my 9 p.m. appointment, and I'm going down a dirt road, okay? And I lose cell service. So I'm like, this is kind of freaking out. I don't even know I'm close to Mexico. Okay.
Yeah, dude, you're on the border, bro.
Well, dude, I finally get to the house. It's like a mobile home. Dude has a shotgun next to the door. Okay.
Yeah, dude.
And I'm like, and I had this rule: I'll never back out from an appointment. Like,
I gotta go in.
If it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna go no matter what. I can't back out. Now, the last appointment I ever ran, I did back out, and that was the last appointment I ran. We were already doing so good. I was like, dude, I'm not risking my life right now.
Yeah, maybe a good call.
Yeah, and it was in Vegas at a motel.
Yeah,
the appointment was in a motel, dude, like a scary one.
Like for $30 a month,
Yeah. I was like, you know what?
Home,
life's
dude.
pretty good right now.
Like, go home.
All right, so I get to the mobile home. Dude has a shotgun. I'm like, what do you got a shotgun right here for? He's like, dude, Mexico is 40 feet that way.
Oh my God, dude.
Oh, okay. So super cool, dude. Like right up the app. And I'm leaving and I'm trying to figure out how to get out of this place. Okay. It's like a beautiful night, stars everywhere. I'm in the middle of the desert on a dirt road, windows down, and I'm like looking at my phone, and I also have a GPS, like a Garmin GPS, trying to find out how to get out, dude. And somebody whistles at me from the bushes, like going like, "Hey, over here," kind of thing. I'm like, what the, dude? I just slammed on. I just hit the gas, dude. Took off and like made my way out of there. I was like,
you would have had dudes hop in the back of the car, dude.
I'm like, dude, I'm never forgetting getting that.
Funny, dude. Like I'm all virtual now, right? But I miss the field so much. I'm sure everybody that worked in the field will say that.
Yeah,
a lot of these new guys, like just funny stuff you would encounter, dude.
That you can't make up.
You can't make up, dude. And I think the gratitude it gives you for life.
Oh.
And it's helped me a lot in my virtual sales because I have a much better understanding of people, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I have sat in so many homes. Oh my gosh, dude. People on, like, I do a predominantly final expense.
Yeah.
Sitting in those homes, dude, with those people that actually make $1,500, seeing the way they live, talk, think. It's a trip, man.
Yep. Now, what kind of leads did you run?
Right now I'm doing Facebook Final Expense. I run my own leads.
Are they the vet ones or
No.
just Facebook Final
Yep.
Expense?
Yep.
Old school Facebook Final.
Old school, and it's always worked. My ad has worked. I've had to change it. I've had to adjust.
And you just run it yourself.
Yeah.
Do you ever have people that have issues like running it themselves and then they spend more time trying to figure that out and not enough time being active?
It's a great question, dude. And I think it's not that deep. It's not that deep. Like, if I have a new agent, I'm always recommending, like, we got to build you a Facebook. And I show them how to do it. And if you're doing it right and you're being honest, like, it doesn't take that much adjusting. The thing with Facebook ads, in my opinion, is patience. Like, you cannot have an ad that's producing the volume you ultimately need within a day or a month. It's going to take time. So, like, build the ad, fund it a little bit, and, like, let it work. And in the meantime, you have to buy other leads. So, no, dude, like, the dudes that want to sit and pretend like they're perfecting this Facebook ad,
they just don't want to work. Creative avoidance.
100%.
It's like me going, oh, I need to wash my car and do the dishes and do all this stuff.
It's like,
and
stop building a website, dude. Like, you haven't sold anything.
Oh, it's so funny. The first thing people do is build a website. It's like, dude, you don't even need a website.
No, you don't need any of that. Like, here's a lead. Like, you old school guys that have been doing it forever, like, really spoke to me. Like Sean Mike, like, just, here's the lead, call it. I'm like, okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
All this other stuff.
Well, some of the automation stuff is hurting people because they're actually not working the leads themselves. They just want the automation to do it, and they're getting worse results.
No, dude, I think automation is there to pick up everything that you missed. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Not the other way around.
Yeah. No. Montserrat is a 22-year-old girl who hit Hall of Fame last year, and she started in March. Okay.
Wow.
And she's so impressive. She manually dials from her cell phone. I'm like, whoa.
I do too.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have the dialers. My agents use them. I use them occasionally, right? If I'm filtering old aged leads. But if we're talking 3 to 5 day old Facebook leads, then I'll just punch the number in. Like, the key is a lot of people get distracted, dude. They dial 3 leads and then they get on Facebook or Instagram.
Dude, my Facebook and Instagram is deleted right now.
Good.
Because I'm like, I caught myself scrolling and like my kids were around.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, what is this?
Good for you.
This is just like some other drug.
It kind of is, dude. Yeah.
And it's like stupid stuff.
No, I have that very old school approach, and like I've actually had to take a look at myself and like embrace automation and making things easier, because one of the skills I have is like I can really pick one thing and then just go headlong at it for years.
Powerful, dude.
It is powerful, and not enough people have it. Now, I could take it too far, right? And be like, okay, dude, like you need to incorporate new stuff, right? But that's always easier to do than the opposite. But like, I don't think enough people take pride in that or recognize how valuable that is to say, I am going to pick this thing and I am just going to plow ahead. You know, I'm good at it. I think I learned it through getting sober and all those principles, but a lot of people get distracted, dude. They want the new thing, the new lead, all this.
Dude, I mean, your story is insanely powerful, but as a business tip, it's just focus on one thing.
Can we just get good at one thing?
Yeah, dude.
Like, dude, please.
Well, I learned that, like, so I started making money and I tried to become like this serial entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I started to dip into other stuff. And I'm like, dude, why did I neglect the one thing that's always worked, which was insurance, that always took care of me, that always paid the bills, just to like think I was like going to go crush real estate and do all these other things at the same time. And like, dude, if you have other passions, stick to one thing. And once you master it, then go do the other passions. Like,
yeah, or maybe my rule would be like when I can step away a little bit and it can sustain itself and truly become more passive, then maybe, I don't know, you know better than me. I just do know that the men and women that I've studied in business that I really admire, like we all see the final product, right? Like we all see Alex Hormozy today and like, right, that story. Like, dude, that dude like focused on one thing for years and years and got really good at it. Anybody I would name right now that I really admire did the same thing.
Yeah.
They plowed ahead at one thing. The difference is it just wasn't documented.
Yeah. There's a book called The One Thing. Have you heard of that book?
No, I haven't.
So I read it in maybe 2016. But and I had, this is what I took from it. So basically what it's saying is like if you actually focus on the one important thing, you don't need as much time as you think. Like you could literally get
So
like
true.
in 4 hours done if you just focus on the important thing, what you normally would get done in a full day. And
Yep.
one of the chapters is build yourself a bunker so you don't have any distractions.
Hmm.
So when I would call customers, I would literally, my bunker was my car. Because like no one in the office could get to me,
It's your spot.
no one at home could get to me, and I can just go through these dials as
Yes.
fast as I could. But like, do you even have a? How do you deal with that? How do you separate like, hey, I'm working since we're self-employed and we could
Mm.
always be working versus hey, I'm with my family and since we're self-employed we could always be with our family. How do you separate that?
Dude, dials and switches, bro. What I mean by that is I had to learn. Everything was always a switch for me. I'm either doing this, I'm doing that. Dials. Like when I get home, I need to turn up the father dial, the husband dial. Does that make sense?
I love that.
For me, an office is of the utmost importance. I cannot work from home. Like I can, right? But if I have a say in the matter, I am not working from home. I need an office, man. I need like my spot. I need to kiss my babies in the morning and like go out into the world and like make my mark and do my thing. So an office is crucial for me. And I get it. The attraction of what we do is you can work at home. But I really think people are selling themselves short. Like if you're an agent in Vegas and you're not in this office, I don't get it. I don't understand it.
I know.
It's like, to me, that's just a very, very easy way to artificially create structure and separation, right? Like I'm at the office, I'm working. And then there's deeper levels within that, right? Like when I'm at the office, I could be doing other stuff aside from working. But if we're talking simple, that's a very, very quick way to do it, man. When I'm at the office, I'm working. And when I get home, bro, I really, really do my best to like leave my briefcase and my computer and my work phones over there.
That's good. So Zach Twardowski, I didn't really know him really well, but he started coming into the office like every single day. And like I'd come out of my office, he's there. I come in the morning, he's there. I come in the afternoon, he's there. And then he started going like, "Hey, can I help with anything?" which I thought was really unique.
Yes.
And then he's like, "Can I help?" He started to become helpful. And then I'm like, "Oh, this guy's legit." And
Yep.
he was just a sponge, dude. He was just taking information from what everybody was doing. And then it's cool to see how successful he's been. Like,
It's not an accident, man.
yeah.
It's not an accident.
But like, yeah, get around people. Force yourself into an environment. And then so, somebody said to me early on, they're like, okay, you can learn from other people, but you have to become somebody that these top performers want to be around.
Wow.
So like how do you
That's
change?
deep.
How do you get better to become somebody that they would want to be around, that they would want to help? You know?
Damn, that's deep. You know, that kind of makes me think like I don't know. I think about identity a lot. I asked you about it earlier.
Yeah.
I don't think you ever outlive your identity. Okay, there's a couple books that talk about it, right? Like your thermostat setting on your life, right? Typically, once you make 100 grand, it's really hard to make less than 100 grand.
Yeah.
And it's also hard to make more than 100 grand unless you're like superheating your thermostat. Coming into an office, for example, and spending time around a person like you or Steven Yee or the people that I have access to superheats my thermostat, right? Like I get to see the way you guys operate, the way you talk, like just by rule of like osmosis almost. Like it is going
contagious.
It is, man. And before you know it, I start acting differently, thinking, my level goes up just by being around your sphere of influence.
Yeah, facts. It's huge. All right, so I want to talk about this because you just kind of reminded me of this. So like you said that you flip switches on. I used to say that I would change my hat. So I'd be like, I'm changing my hat to my dad hat. I'm changing my hat to my producer hat. I'm
Yep.
changing my hat to my manager hat. But one thing that I learned is like when you recruit friends or
Hmm.
family, sometimes it's harder to have conversations with them than you normally would when it comes to business. And then I had asked somebody that has been doing this a long time, real successful. I'm like, how do you do that? And he said, well, let's say it's my friend, then I'll be like, hey, I know we're really good friends. I gotta take off my friend hat though, and I gotta put on my business hat, and I have to have this tough conversation with you.
Hmm.
And I'm like, just such an easy way to like open up that conversation. And it just made me think about that when you're talking about turning on and off switches.
Hmm.
All right. So I've asked pretty much every top producer that's come in here about their morning, if they have a morning routine.
Yep.
Do you?
Yes.
What is it?
Huh. And well, it's changed, but lately I wake up at 4:52. I don't know why, like, I'm like the dude that sets 8 alarms, but 4:52 is the time I wake up. Um, Look, man, for me, whether I was doing insurance or not, I need time in the morning, right? It's like, it's not the with whatever it is, whether you have kids or you don't, I truly believe you need time in the morning to get centered. The thing that I do is I go to the gym, and what I've learned over the years of that practice is it's not what I get from the gym, it's what I get rid of. Truly. A lot of negativity, doubt, anger,
Every
frustration.
day.
Yes. No, I don't know. I train 5 days a week,
Okay.
right?
But like you're getting rid of this every day, you're saying.
Yeah, like, it's not what I take from the gym, it's what I have the opportunity to get rid of. And so I need 2 to 3 hours in the morning, especially with a wife and kids, to, like, get free of all that stuff, dude. I don't know, maybe I'm just more selfish by nature, right? But, like, I like to get quiet, I don't do anything fancy. I've gone through so many different phases of reading specific books and writing specific stuff. To be honest, man, it's been 4:52, and then I make sure to go on the balcony and just get quiet for a few minutes, right? Drink coffee, I rip my vape. Like, I get quiet for a few minutes, that's it, dude. And then I get to the gym, right? And, like, to me, the
Do you
gym
take
is
pre-workout?
yeah, yeah, probably too much, you know what I mean? But I have a
Dude,
tolerance.
not more than Easton Patton, dude. He came in here.
That guy's a beast
I
too.
did his morning routine.
Yeah,
Ice bath at 3:30 in the morning.
I know he gets up early. I've been so tempted to get an ice bath, man. I need to
Dude,
do it.
so ice bath at 3:30. We're like done with the gym, breakfast, ice bath, sauna by like 6 and I'm like I'm like, "Bro."
That's a day.
Well,
That's a day.
then like later on in the day, he's like it's like 3. He's like, "Dude, you want some more pre-workout?" He's got a huge scoop. I'm
Oh
like,
my
"Bro,
god.
I'm gonna have a heart attack." Like, and then he's like,
That morning routine's gonna kill you.
yeah, he's like, "Oh, I take like 1,500 milligrams a day minimum." And I'm like, "Dude, you're an
Yeah.
animal."
I know he gets up early like that. I've watched him from afar. But if you really think about it, man, like, you can have 4 separate days, right? Like, you can get a lot done, like you said, in 4 hours.
Yeah,
So if I'm up by 4, by 8 o'clock, by the time I'm going to the office, I've had a full day, dude.
yeah.
Like, I've
As
accomplished
long
a
as you're
lot.
busy, you're just not scrolling Instagram.
Oh my god, that'll sap you so quick. No, but
Yeah.
if I'm busy and I've went out and I've accomplished something, you know what it does, Andrew? It removes a lot of fear because I'm like, dude, I already went and crushed this workout. Like, got right with myself and my creator. Got to spend time with the people I love. Like, I'm good. Like, the world can't hurt me.
That's so
You know what I
good.
mean? Like, I'm
Yeah.
going out like ready to fight, man, because I feel so centered. And so I've gone through different phases, but to me, if you're a grown man and you're like not waking up early, I'm sorry, but like, no, you have to wake up early. Now, maybe it's an ice bath, maybe it's not, right? Like, I'm not,
Yeah. You're
whatever,
just saying
dude.
get up early.
Get up early.
Yeah.
Like, waking up at 7, 8 o'clock, I don't know. I don't see it.
Well, if you have kids, you don't really get any time at
That's
all
right.
unless you wake up early.
Yes.
You have no time.
Nope. No. And so it's an opportunity to get settled, have a couple of wins for the day, right? By the time I get home and 7 o'clock, family's waking up, I've already like won several times. I have a couple of W's in my pocket or whatever. And it just improves the chances of success for the rest of my day.
So early wins.
Early wins, man. I don't care what they are. Ice bath, gym, reading, whatever. Run.
Whatever.
Yep. Just you
It's
got to
just
get early
I
wins.
said I was going to do it, and I did it.
Dude, Ed Milet says this, and it's maybe my favorite quote of all time. Self-confidence comes from keeping the promises you make to yourself. Dude, that is everything. I really believe that. Like, when we make promises to ourselves and we don't keep them, that chips away at us and who we are and what we think about ourselves, and then in turn what we go out and do more than we give it credit.
Slowly over time.
Yes, and I don't care how small the promise is. Like, if you say you're going to wake up before 5 and you don't do it, you can justify it in your head why you didn't do it, but it will chip away at you. And so I'm just really after keeping promises I make to myself and having a couple of wins early in the morning.
Yeah, but if you work out, this is what I learned. If you work out early, you have a full day of work, you go home, you take care of your kids, whatever it is, you're tired.
Yes.
Like, you want to go to sleep early, which means you get up early.
Yeah, you're not scrolling Facebook at like
2 in the morning. Yeah.
No.
Now you're like, dude, I need sleep.
Yeah, you're worn out, and it's the good type of worn out.
Yeah.
You lay in bed, you're like, man, I accomplished something today. Like,
Yeah.
I feel worth it, and good enough. And I don't think we talk enough about that, dude. Self-talk is important, but it's not something that can be manufactured, bro. Our self-talk comes from the things that we do or don't do.
Yeah.
Because we know the truth.
100%.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
So that's it for me.
Well, I love your story because, like, you were, I guess you would say, at rock bottom.
Absolutely.
And you have a crazy comeback story.
Yep.
And you're just getting started because you're only 30 years old.
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasted a lot of time, but I'm so grateful for it. I don't know if I'd change a thing. The only thing I would change is the people that I hurt.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I mean, all the other stuff, it's like, it's just changed my outlook on life so much. And so I do feel like I'm just getting started. And I'm just grateful because I feel like I understand finally with some maturity and some age what's truly important. And I'm not dominated by fear of what other people are doing and what I'm not doing. And does that make sense? Like, I truly feel like things are in right proportion and what is important truly and what's going to fulfill me in the long term. And it's taken me a while to get there.
Yeah, I read that book, The Courage to Be Disliked. Have you heard of that book?
I have. Never read it.
Okay. Basically, what I took from it is, like, everything most people do is for what other people will think or say about them. And when you stop doing that and you actually are doing things for you, it, like, frees you.
Yep.
But also, it's like, if you're just doing things to compete with other people, you'll never win because you're constantly going to be competing with somebody. And it's like, instead of just competing with yourself, like doing what you want to do, like literally stop caring about what other people are going to say or think, no matter what. That's what I took from it.
That's so powerful, dude. Comparison is a thief of joy. We all know this. And yeah, I struggle with it very rarely still, honestly, dude. It used to dominate me. I was so dependent on approval and validation from the world.
Yeah.
And I think going through what I've gone through and then staying accountable, and I've outgrown so much of that. And I'm really just concerned of, like, number one, what does my wife think about me? Like, is she proud of who I am? Are my kids proud of who I am?
And are you proud of who you are?
And can I look myself in the mirror and say, yeah.
Yeah.
Beyond that, dude, I'm
awesome,
good.
Man. So if somebody wanted to work with you, how could they reach you?
We're building a really, really special team out of Tucson, Arizona. We're hiring agents all around, right? We're picky.
All over the country, though, right?
All over the country. We're picky. Like, we have a very tight-knit group. I just started in end of January, seriously building. It's a whole other story. If you're new, don't wait as long as I did to do that, please. Like, every agent I've worked with that's come on board has been a 20K producer by month 2. And it's like, it's not because of me. It's we have a very tight-knit group. So if people want to work with me, text me, and then maybe I could throw my website in the link or something. But area code 480-521-5278.
Now, when you say you're picky, like, if someone's in a bad situation, that's okay. You're looking for more of attitude and
the intangibles.
Yeah. But like you'll work with someone who's got nothing.
Yeah. I'd maybe prefer it, right? Because it's like, are you willing to just work? Like the people I love are the ones that are just down to do the dogged work. And then like you tell them to do something and they just do it. Because that's who I am.
Yeah.
Right? If you're like, Wyatt, go and dial these pages for 12 hours. I'll do it. I just want somebody like that. Good attitude, coachable. They don't need to have anything really. A computer.
What would someone do to make you not want to work with them?
Entitled. Number one.
That's pretty much it, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think.
Entitled, lack of gratitude.
Yep. Excuses. I hate excuses, dude. Like I'm working with a single mother, right? She's single mom, baby girl's 2.5. But she told me from the jump, hey, these are the days I can work. I'm down. Like if you work 3 days a week, cool. Like I don't care. Let's do it. And these 3 days we're gonna do this. Okay. But like as long as you know it from the jump, but if we get into it and you say you're gonna do something and then you're making excuses for it, it drives me nuts. Right? Because like I don't expect a single mother that worked hours. I will. I don't care.
Yeah.
Just be
You
real.
could do
Don't make
part-time.
excuses.
You could do part-time. You just can't do any time.
I
No, you
love
just
that.
can't do
That's so
spare
true.
time.
That's so true. Yeah. So
Because then we know it won't work.
no, dude, you got the time that you have to be all in. You got to be all in. I don't care if it's a couple days a week.
So there's been a change in the industry. So you said your grandfather sold insurance.
Yeah.
And you said you thought it was for like older white dudes.
Crusty old white dudes.
Crusty old white dudes.
Yeah, and like crappy suits.
In crappy suits.
Mhm.
Yeah, we used to say this joke like, "Hey, we're not a gold watch, hairy chest,
Yeah, dude, that's exactly what it
wearing
was.
white
Yeah.
dude." Because we were like younger, when we would call people, we would say, "Oh, don't worry, we're not going to show up in a suit with a gold watch and our chest hair hanging out,"
Yep.
just to kind of like make people laugh, you know. But this industry is turning into the best sales career for young people I've ever seen. Me and Drew were talking, and we're like, dude, we're old now. Like, we got a room full of 120 kids in their 20s that are just crushing this industry better than we ever did. Like, dude. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because we also talked about, like, we want to share how we built this company and what we did for our families with people who want to learn. So if you're watching this, give him a call.
Dude, I have never ever been gate kept from any information.
Yeah.
Dude, anybody like you, somebody I really respect who has done big things, has shared everything I've asked with reckless abandon. And there's no gatekeeping going on, none of that. Right? The cool thing about insurance, and I think why it's going to overtake real estate, is the cool sales
and
opportunity.
Loans and
all of it,
solar.
because the barrier to entry is so low. Dude, I made $2,500 my first day. Then it's been hard, and I'll be totally transparent about the suck of it all and the good, like all of it. But the barrier to entry is so low.
Yeah.
It truly is.
Well, and you could work from your computer now.
Yeah.
That just changed everything.
Yes, it did.
Right?
Yep. And I finally got on board in October.
Yeah, one thing I want to say though to like anyone who's newer, like don't chase the leaderboard where you're not profitable. Like somebody could spend way too much on leads and their numbers look good and they don't have any money.
That's such
And like so like if you get there's two things to that. If you get good at closing, learn how to keep business on the books. So like
Yes.
that, like if you think you can close, okay, how do you keep business on the books so you're more profitable? And then how do you become more profitable with your lead spend? Because would you rather be lower on the leaderboard but make more money?
Look, I'm competitive, right? But like, dude, at the end of the day, like I am concerned with my bank. Like
Yeah.
when I talk to people, I'm like, what did you deposit?
Exactly.
I don't care about submit numbers. Again, I'm competitive and that stuff matters. But what did you deposit, dude? Like, because ultimately, who I am accountable to is my family. I am concerned with what I deposited, what I spent on leads, what I actually brought in and was put into my bank. That's what I care about. And I have always been profitable in this business.
But you'll outlast everyone else. If you're chasing leaderboards and like you're not actually becoming a real student in the business, you're not going to make it very long.
I'll take your advice. I believe you.
Yeah.
I've seen it from afar, and I just don't care, dude. I stopped chasing leaderboards a long time ago. Like, again, I want to make myself proud, my family proud. I want to be profitable. And it's crazy because I have been below a lot of people on the leaderboards, but I've heard what they deposit.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I deposited 25 grand last month. He deposited 10, but he did 50,000. You get what I'm saying? Like, last year, a year into the business, I started hearing that, and I'm like, I'm depositing like a lot more than them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's such a good piece of advice.
And that's something you teach people.
Oh yeah, we don't really talk AP. We don't really talk.
You talk deposits.
Yes. I don't know if I'm doing that wrong or what,
I like it.
but I like to talk deposits, man, because I know that's what makes a difference in their life, right? Because you're actually going to form a resentment. Like if you have an agent that does $30,000 and they're on the leaderboards, they get all this recognition, but they only deposited 8. That's going to like seed resentment in them. Like, what the hell? I'm getting all this praise, but I'm not depositing that. And so that's always been my focus. What did you deposit? What did you spend on leads?
Yeah. Lastly, before we wrap up, what do you tell people if they're like, I've heard negative things about Family First Life? Like, have you had that happen before?
Yeah.
What do you say?
Who's your favorite car? Like, do you have a favorite car?
My favorite car.
Like brand? Are you like a Ford guy?
I mean, let's just say I'm a Ford guy.
Dude, I'll go on the internet right now and pull up 100,000 bad reviews about Ford. You know what I mean? Like, I'll say the same thing to people who I'm selling insurance to. I heard Americo sucks. Well, yeah, we hear a lot of things, right? They've been in business for this long, and so I have heard that from people, and I always point back to my story, and I point to Sean Mike. Like, the proof is in the pudding, dude. If you really study the history of how this thing started, like, I think what he did was significant.
For sure.
He changed the business forever.
For sure.
Like, that was the reason I really got into insurance. I saw that, like, something was put in place that was different than it ever had been done. Now everybody does it that way, right? But
well, they try, or they
try. True. But the fact remains, man, that the way Family First Life started was revolutionary, and like that same thing still exists. And I point to my story and I point to my relationships. And at the end of the day, I think people know intuitively, dude, it's like, as long as the comp is right and the leads are right, it really comes down to you. And then most importantly, the people you're rubbing elbows with.
Let me see if I could find this email, dude. This dude sent me this. This was insane.
But dude,
check this out.
Everybody has opinions.
Hold on, check this out. So John DeVries, I think he's like 60. Okay. He can crush insurance, bro. Like he still goes face to face.
Okay, love it.
Dude's a freaking animal. Okay, let me read this real quick. I sold a guy an Americo policy. It was $3,000 commission for me, and the next morning he told me he had gone to the internet and looked up Americo, and it had horrible reviews. I told him I'd get some information to look over, not to say he could cancel at all, but so at least he was informed on the subject. I told him it would take 5 to 10 minutes to go over this review, and he agreed that I could come back over. I got on the computer and looked up Americo's Better Business Bureau rating, which is what most public do. It was 1.46 out of 5 stars, which generally would be considered very bad. But I looked up the following insurance companies and even a couple other organizations on the Better Business Bureau to see what I could find. State Farm, 1.15 out of 5 stars.
There you go.
Prudential, 1.03 out of 5 stars. Nationwide, 1.16 out of 5 stars. John Hancock, 1.2 out of 5 stars. New York Yankees, 1 out of 5 stars. Yeah. Salvation Army, 1 out of 5 stars. Safeway Grocery Store, shout out, that's where I used to work, 1.12 out of 5 stars. I picked Safeway as he had mentioned in the initial interview that he liked that store.
Smart.
So he was shocked to see them 1.12 out of 5 stars. I showed him all this directly on my laptop on the Better Business Bureau website so he could see for himself. Then I told him there were 2 things to know about this. 1, people don't write in the Better Business Bureau to give 5 stars. They write to complain. 2, the Better Business Bureau is not an organization that rates life insurance companies. AM Best, Moody's, and Fitch are the ones that do that. And I told him that AM Best was the big guy on the block. I went to AM Best website and I showed him Amerigo had an A for excellent across all boards. Finally, I told him that if we could not do business with Americo, then we should not do business with any other insurance company listed above. He said he finally got it and was going to keep his life insurance.
There you go.
I'm like, dude, that is savage. Genius. Overcoming objections right there.
It's all do the same thing, right? Like whether it's Family First Life or it's Americo. It's like, you know, the stupid example is what kind of car do you drive? Do you like it? Yeah, I love it. Okay, well, I will show you 50. It's to illustrate that point that everybody has an opinion. And at the end of the day, Family First Life has been in business for this long. Americo has been in business for this long. The proof is there. It speaks for itself. And you know what, dude, if somebody is ill-informed and wants to trash it, whatever. Like, if they don't see it, they're probably not the right person anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
100%. Well, dude, you are the man, bro. I'm excited to see what you do. Let's talk about the upcoming events. So we have April. So we just got done with our lock-in in Vegas. We had 150 people here. We issued we wrote collectively right about 300K in 2 days. There was like 14 new agents wrote a policy for the first time. Someone wrote 18 apps right in front of everybody. Matt Spalding, just crushing. And this is where legends and new people come and they all work in the same room. Okay.
Yep.
So we're like, this is so successful. We got to do it again. Stephen Yee made a live leaderboard. So you can just see like what carrier is being written, what everybody's writing. We got prizes. We got everything you can think of. And it's so powerful. So we want to invite everybody to the next one, which is April 21st and April 22nd. We have Americo's going to be there. The big bosses at Americo are going to be there. Sean Mike's going to be there. A bunch of other carriers are going to be there, and a bunch of top producers are going to be there. Information about leads, everything. So we want to invite you if you want to go. It is fflusa.com/lock-in. We'll put the description. We'll put the link in the description as well, so you guys can click it. And then we also have an event that we call Ignite that we do every year. And this is going to be in Phoenix, Arizona in June. Just be prepared. We'll drop the official dates here soon, but just be prepared. That's a meeting you don't want to miss.
Can't wait.
Before we wrap up, how have these meetings and trainings helped you?
Look, when we're new, we're always hesitant. Like, don't lie to me. Like, nobody wants to go and spend money on them in the beginning. Even a couple of years in, I have never, ever once regretted it. And it's never been a negative on my P&Ls. Like, it has always paid me exponentially. Sometimes it's hard to kind of quantify. So, like, come to these events. What the value that you get from them is ridiculous in comparison to what you put in. So fight that urge to stay comfortable and stay home and lose a day of selling, like whatever. Like, fight that urge. Come be around people better than you. That's always the advice I've been given, and I'm so grateful I've taken it.
That's huge. Well, thank you for coming in. See you later, guys.
Thank you.